Hi guys, this is Abhimanyu and today I'm bringing you ninth part of our series MOAB with every gun. But today it will be the first time that I will try to give you some tips like I said in the last video. But before I go into tips and all, I would just like to say a few things about this game. It is a MOAB with PP90. I don't think this gun needs any introduction. It is a very good gun. I'm using it with a silencer and extended max. To this day I'm not sure really what is better, extended max or rapid fire. I don't really know if this gun needs rapid fire because it already shoots so fast. I don't know, sometimes I use rapid fire, other times I will use extended max. This game is actually a double MOAB fail. After I get MOAB, the second time I die, I'm actually on a 23 kill streak, and it's pretty unlucky, 1 kill away from a double MOAB. These guys that I'm playing are, I don't know, in any other Call of Duty I would say they are pretty bad, but they just might be really on the wrong side of lag compensation. Just, I don't know, sometimes they react really slow. I don't know. That's all I wanted to say about the game. So let's start with tips. For me, the most important part in trying to be a good Call of Duty player is awareness. You just have to be aware of what is going on in a certain game. You know, especially if you're trying to get a high kill streak, something like off-spray gunner or a MOAB. It is just not realistic to expect that you can win 24 guns fight just by being fast and accurate. The first thing you want to learn is to always try to play in such a way that majority of the gunfights that you are in, that you have the upper hand, that you have advantage, that, you know, either you have better cover, either you are the one that is expecting the opponent to be in a certain place and he is not expecting you. So what I want to talk about today is different types of awareness, and by the way, I know I'm pronouncing that weird, but it's just the way I pronounce it. It's different types of awareness and how you can try to increase them. Now the first thing I want to talk about is map awareness. I think there are two things that are very important in map awareness, and the first thing is just learning the maps. And by learning the maps I don't mean that you learn if I take this path this will take me to the A domination flag, and if I take this path this will take me to the B domination flag. That's something that everybody knows after playing a couple of hours on a certain map. But what you want to learn is what part of map is advantageous, what parts of map are dangerous, where you wanna be, where you don't wanna be, when you are in a certain part of the map, how to take cover, and stuff like that you have to learn. Like for example, when I started playing Call of Duty, I could sometimes consider a part of a certain map to be a death trap. Whenever I went there, it seemed I'd die. However, then I went on YouTube and maybe watched a video of a certain player that was way more skilled than I am, and I saw that this guy ran right into this place and he could do just fine. And then I tried to watch and to see what he does different than I do, and very often what happened is that I missed that there is maybe a trash can that you can take cover, or there might be some broken car or whatever. Just to see what he does different in a certain part of a map, in a certain situation, that it seems that where I always die and he can do just fine. So what I recommend that you, in such a way, by watching other players, try to build up a plan, a strategy for yourself, so that whenever you go into a certain game type on a certain map, you already know how you like to play this map, how you like to move, where you like to be. And especially sometimes when you're watching other players play on YouTube, they will say something like, wow, I really like this map, this is one of my favorite maps, it seems I always do good on this map. Watch that player, what he does on that map, so that he can always do good. However, that doesn't mean that every strategy from other players will also work for you, but in this way you will slowly build a strategy for every map. And I think this is especially important in Modern Warfare 3, because maps in Modern Warfare 2 and especially in Black Ops were a lot simpler, but in these maps have so many head glitching spots, and it's really hard to play on some maps, and this is why I think this is really important. If you can build up some strategy or some plan for yourself on every map, how you like to play it, I think this will massively improve your gameplay. One more thing that I would like to say on this topic is that there are slight differences in watching someone play on the PC or someone play on consoles. And this is coming from the first-hand experience. I also play on the Xbox, just not as often as on the PC. And usually on the PC the game is a little bit faster paced because playing with the mouse and the keyboard is quite a bit easier. So it's not necessary that all the strategies that you see someone use on the Xbox will also work just effectively on the PC. So for a PC gamer, it's probably the best if you watch someone that also plays on the PC. However, that said, most of the strategies that work on one platform will also work on the other platform, but just to warn you, there are slight differences. Now, just to avoid any possible misunderstandings, when I say it is easier to play on a PC with a mouse and a keyboard, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's also easier to getting high scores on or MOABs, because at the same time as it is easier to play for me, it is also easier to play for all of my opponents. Now, the second thing that also goes under the map awareness is learning the spawns. It is very, very crucial if you want to do good in Call of Duty that you learn the spawn points and also to be able to predict them. You have to be able just in a certain game time, just by seeing the situation or on your mini map, to predict where your enemies will spawn. Now, this is a very, very deep topic, and in order to cover this topic in depth, I will probably need like a couple of videos just to cover this one topic. However, I will give you like few tips or advices how the spawns usually work in domination. Basically, because I am a domination player, and I know usually it spawns in domination very, very well. Now here I don't recommend that much watching too much the videos. Like some commentators do these videos where they give some tutorial on how the spawns work in domination on a certain map. Now, these videos are very good and can help you learn how to play a certain map. However, if you really wanted to learn how to play domination, you first have to learn the general principles behind how the spawns work in domination. And the spawns work in domination in such a way that usually there are always some huge spawn points where most of the times player will spawn. And now your enemies will spawn in these spawn points depending on what flags you are owning and where your teammates are. Now, if you want to learn to predict the spawns, it is very crucial that you learn to watch your minimap. And in my opinion, the most important thing when you are watching your minimap is to know where your teammates are. I think it is more important to know where your teammates are than knowing where your enemies are, because if you know where your teammates are, once you learn the spawns, you will very often know where your enemies are. This is especially true in domination, not domination in team deathmatch, but in domination you also have to be aware at all times what flags are owned by your team and what flags are owned by the enemy team. Because in domination the spawns are primarily determined by who owns what flag, and if your enemy is owning a flag, then mostly they will spawn around a flag, and if they are owning a C flag, they will mostly spawn about a C flag, and if they are owning B and C flag, they mostly will spawn somewhere between B and C flag. However, that is not always the case. Sometimes if your team pushes up too far in their spawn, the spawns will flip, and even though you may be owning C flag, they can start spawning in C flag. And if you want to be able to predict this, you have to learn to watch your minimap, so you always know what flags your team is owning and also where your teammates are, and this is very crucial. Now I understand that most of the things that I said most of you already know, so I will quickly try to give you one tip how to learn this as fast as possible. One thing is that wherever you spawn at the beginning of the game, almost always is one of the major spawns. So try to remember where you spawned in the beginning of the game, and this is where many players will also spawn during the game. And whenever you see a mass of players, it doesn't matter, is that your team or the enemy team at the same time spawn on the same place. Try to remember what situation that was, what flags did you own at that time, and where your teammates were at that time. And this is how you will very often be able to predict that when this similar situation arises in another game, that people will spawn at the same place again. However, you will also learn that there are some exceptions to these rules, and it's not always going to be the same. Now I'm on 23 kill streak, and this was 1 kill I needed for a double MOAB piece of Now video is sadly at the end. I will however make a continuation on these tips and awareness, and we will speak a little bit more on this topic. I hope you enjoyed the video, I hope you learned something today, and I do hope you will visit me again.